A discussion of the work ethic brings up some very provocative questions. Do workplace ethics problems come from a lack of a work ethic? Where does your character fit into your work ethic? What is happening in our modern global work environment that conflicts with our traditional view of the work ethic? How can we instill a good work ethic in those entering the workforce or those already in it? Of course, everyone has something to say on the topic. Everyone has a story to tell. In discussing the work ethic, there are many issues in play, including cultural issues, generational issues, parenting, self-discipline, character, and many others. You need to understand that the work ethic, personal character, and ethical behavior at work are interconnected and are key factors in our professional ethical life. Why does the word morality leave most of us with an unsettled feeling? The fact is, whether we have high moral standards or not, most of us don't want to feel that someone else's morality is being pushed on us. It's simple human nature. We prefer to make our own moral decisions. But in reality, whether we know it or not, or like it or not, someone else's morality is constantly influencing our everyday decisions. In order to have any kind of meaningful dialogue on ethics, a discussion of morality must take place. One can argue that there is no such thing as ethics without morality. We need to be comfortable discussing morality in a variety of contexts and standing up for it when the time is right. Learning to make moral judgments is a significant step toward making compliance to rules an internal part of our character. The workplace is a unique setting to talk about moral decision-making because some areas of the workplace are highly regulated by rules, yet others are not. We need to think about how this practically works out and how to develop skills to address the wide variety of circumstances we face each day.
Good day, mom and classmates. This is the Group 3. Together with my group mates, Mr. Julius Michael De Leon, Miss Karen Pacleta, Miss Reynalyn V, and yours truly, Liana Marie Ibana. We are going to introduce to you our topic, the ethics. But first, we must define the ethics. Ethics is a set of moral principles or values that govern the actions and decisions of an individual or group. This set of moral principles or values, which the ethics, examines the rational justification of what is morally right or wrong, just or unjust. Also, ethics varies from people to people at any point in time. This is the personal ethics, wherein it may be attributable from all our past experiences which influence our values, mula sa mga taong nakakasalamuhan natin habang tumatanda up to life successes and failures. Now, ano-ano nga ba ang mga halimbawa ng sinasabi ko? As time passed by, philosophers, different religious organizations, and other groups have defined various ways of ideal set of moral principles or values at the implementation level. These are the laws and regulations. It is the structured rules utilized to govern and maintain a civil society. The church doctrine. It is the written body of teachings of a religious group. Code of ethics for professional groups, to which professionals aspire and by which their actions can be judged. And lastly, the code of conduct within individual organizations, such as those used in companies. These are the characteristics and values associated with ethical behavior. How can we say that we are ethical? Through the following, it can be easier to define, as these characteristics and values are most people associate with ethical behavior. First, the integrity. It is having the courage to act on convictions and uphold principles through the times where it is tested. Honesty is by telling the truth and having no interest to deceive or act deviously for own gain. Trustworthiness and promise-keeping. It is being worthy of trust and keeping promises by heart. You should not take for granted the trust that was given to you by justifying non-compliance or for creating excuses and reasons for breaking commitments. Loyalty or fidelity and confidentiality. Be loyal and not disclose information learned in confidence, safeguarding the influences and conflicts of interest. Fairness and openness. by treating everyone in equal and committed to justice, willing to admit error and be corrected, and by not taking advantages of another's mistakes or diversities. Caring for others. Avoid harming and help those in need. Respect for others. Shows respect for human dignity, privacy, and the right to self-determination of all people. Responsible citizenship. Obey just laws and openly protest for any unjust. Having the care for your country through exercising all democratic rights and having participations to any discussions that your country is involved by expressing informed views. For those people who are in a position of leadership or authority, openly respect and honor democratic processes of decision-making. Avoid unnecessary secrecy or concealment of information that may help others in making intelligent choices. Pursuit of excellence. This has the motto of always aim for the best and maintain a high degree of competence by not settling with mediocrity and performing tasks to the best of your ability. And for the last is the accountability. This is accepting responsibility for the decisions made and the consequence of having actions and not having actions.
Brought to you by Global Ethics Solutions.
Everyone has a responsibility for ethics in the workplace. You, the employee or supervisor, as well as the company, have to ensure that you are responsible for your behavior and that you support others by creating a positive, ethical workplace for everyone. You need to know, understand, and comply with your code of conduct, ask questions, and get the facts straight, and be aware of the behavior of others that may be illegal or unethical. If needed, you need to counsel other employees when they are in danger of violating ethical codes and do whatever you can to contribute to an environment that upholds the high ethical standards of your company. If you are a manager, you should lead by example and make sure everyone understands the company's ethics codes and policies. It is your responsibility to maintain a safe environment where employees can talk about ethics issues without fear of reprisal. Of course, the company must do its part too by developing and supporting strong ethics programs and maintaining good working conditions that support the employees' responsibilities. If you should find yourself in an unethical situation, you need to promptly report it to your supervisor, HR manager, or company officer. Your confidentiality will be protected and reprisals will not be tolerated. Be sure to document as much as you can and include the date, time, location, witnesses, specific violations, and actions that were taken. You should report to your supervisor. However, if you don't feel comfortable reporting it to your supervisor, you need to talk to someone in HR, legal, or a company officer or director. The bottom line is that you need to talk to someone. So, ethical dilemmas happen to everyone. Although you can't avoid them altogether, you have a choice to respond in a way that does not compromise your moral and ethical standards. Your job is to be prepared. Do your homework and get the facts straight. Avoid emotional decisions, judgments, and conclusions. Be courageous. Don't back down or be intimidated to stay quiet. Stand firmly on your principles. And when all is said and done, you can hold your head high and know that you stood up for the right thing.
This is a Global Ethics Solutions presentation. Be sure to follow us online, like and share this presentation, and subscribe to our channel today.
So now I will be discussing the second part of our presentation. And to start, why is ethical behavior necessary? And to answer that, ethical behavior is necessary for a society to function in an orderly manner. It can be argued that ethics is a glue that holds a society together, and the need for ethics in society is sufficiently important that many commonly held ethical values are incorporated into laws. So, from the definition itself, kumbaga yung ethical behavior ay kung maire-relate sa pangarap sa buhay, it would be my inspirations. Like, The glue that holds my dreams together and pushes me to do good and be better are my parents, of course. Without them, my life would be miserable. So, yung ethical behavior is sufficiently important that many commonly held ethical values are incorporated into laws, like driving while intoxicated and selling drugs. Both of them concern responsible citizenship and respect each other. You have to consider the consequences of your actions. Yung alam mo sa sarili mo na nakainom ka pero nagmaneho ka pa rin, and because of the thought na kaya mo pa, and usually sa mga lasing kasi mas nauuna na yung mga yabang nila without thinking na meron mga possible hazards like accidents that may lead to paralysis, disfigurement, brain damage, and even death. So, if someone drives drunk and survives a crash, and that crash injures other people, or worse, napatay nila yung tao, that driver must live with the consequences. Kailangan niyang panagutan kung ano ang ginawa niya, kaya doon napapasok ang batas. Because they know that it's not good and it's bad, but they acted selfishly. Then, there are certain rules everywhere. There are rules na kagaya na sinabi ko kanina about driving. There are also unwritten rules about how we interact with others. Rules about conducting business like company rules or rules from the employer. Let's say for instance when you get hired, di ba syempre magkakaroon ka ng sign ng contract, and most likely that conduct will state that you must follow the company rules, something like that. And pangalawa is a question that what would you do if naglalakad ka behind someone on a crowded sidewalk and nakita mo na nahulog yung wallet nila, or maybe they are sitting on a bench, then pagtayo nila biglang nahulog yung wallet nila out of their back pocket. What would you do? Well, most people naman are going to pick it up and then try to get that person's attention, syempre para ibalik, because that is the right thing to do. It may be a small gesture for others, but that small gesture is an ethical one. Nowadays kasi, the small acts matter the most, because most of the time, kung ano pa yung small gestures or bare minimum na tinatawag, is yun pa yung mga hindi na pe-perform or nahihirapan pang ma-execute. So, small acts like that are what keeps the society intact. It reminds us na there are unwritten rules in every society, and without upholding those principles, even a small scale, they will eventually be chaos. Hence, there are lots of ethical behaviors, and the importance of practicing those as individuals can help us maintain good relations with our friends, society, loved ones, as well as being good for our career. So, when countries practice ethical behavior, the results can save the lives of millions of people and also the planet. So, for the next discussion, why do people act unethically? Bakit nga ba? So, first, what is unethical behavior? Unethical behavior is a conduct that differs from the way they believe would have been appropriate given the circumstances. So, ito na yung mga pagkakaiba-iba ng mga paniniwala ng mga tao na akala nila tama yung paniniwala nila at ang actions nila sa isang sitwasyon. Well, tayo rin naman yung magde-decide kung ano yung sa tingin naman natin ay unethical behavior, both for ourselves and para rin sa iba. So, it is important na maintindihan natin what causes people to act in a manner that we decide is unethical. And there are two primary reasons why people act unethically. First, the person's ethical standards are different from those of society as a whole. Or, second, the person chooses to act selfishly. So, on the first reason, these are the people who violate almost everyone's ethical standards. Those people na ini-imply nila yung actions nila as the kapit sa patalim. And they are the so-called extreme ones. Kasi those people na gumagamit ng mga ipinagbabawal na droga at yung mga nagnanakaw, etc. Sila yung mga extreme ones na tinatawag. Ginagawa nila kung ano yung sa tingin nila yung tama at makakapag-benefit sa kanila, and most of the reasons are walang-wala na talaga silang makapitan or hindi ginusto pero napilitan. So, they think it's alright to do it because the purpose of them doing it is for their own good, para mabuhay sila without thinking those people na mapipinsala nila. Additionally, there are also less extreme ones like cheating and lying, and again, it is for their own benefit pa rin. So, the second primary reason is the person chooses to act selfishly. This is common sa mga politicians, those people who only want their desires, the desire for power and also for a position. Those people who are greedy for the people's money na hindi man lang nila alam kung gaano yung pinagpagura ng bawat Pilipino ang bawat sentimo na inaangkin nila. In short, these are the people who know na what they are doing, yet still they do it because of their selfishness and to have what they desire at the expense of the others. However, in many instances, parehas sila nag-i-exist. They are the ones na they are getting other people's money, property, or things so they can have the life they want. It is the life na ginugusto nila, yung gusto nilang makuha kahit alam nilang unethical yun, na alam nilang act of selfishness yun, ginagawa pa rin nila para sa kanilang ikabubuti, para lang sa sarili nila. And pwede yung mag-exist parehas sa isang sitwasyon lamang. Because it is the life they want, it is the life they desire, even if it's unethical and act of selfishness. So that's all for the discussion of why is ethical behavior necessary and why do people act unethically. My name is Reynalyn V, and I thank you.
Let's be honest. Even the most honest, truthful, and ethical person will find him or herself in the midst of a full-blown ethical crisis at some time in his or her career. It is an unfortunate yet inevitable event from which no one escapes. Although you can't hide from ethical dilemmas, you can do something to prepare yourself. The first step is to become aware and equip yourself with knowledge and skills so you'll be ready to handle whatever comes your way. So, let's start with the question, what is ethics? Well, ethics are the basic moral ground rules by which we live our lives. We all have it. Either we have good ethics or bad ethics. You can't be devoid of it. Of course, you can have really, really bad ethics, but that in itself is a form of ethics. It all has to do with our conscience. Our conscience, that moral self-awareness of our behavior that tells us when something is right or wrong. The question is, what do we do with it? Especially in the workplace. Well, despite your level of good ethics, you come to work and your employer has certain specific expectations of you, such as playing by the rules, obeying the law, being honest in your behavior and speech, to look out for the company's best interest, and to show respect for property and people. These are the basic ethical expectations of your employer. So, where do workplace ethical dilemmas come from? Understand that ethical dilemmas are everywhere. The workplace provides no shortage of ethical dilemmas to test your ethical decision-making skills. They lie in the way you deliver service or respond to crises, how you react to the policies and practices of your company, the choices you make personally and in team situations, how you fulfill your obligations to coworkers and customers, how you present your company and its products to customers and shareholders, how you deal with outside agencies, contractors, and vendors, Remember that everyone is watching you. Your ethics are always on display to others. Be aware and careful of how others perceive your actions. Of course, ethical dilemmas come in all shapes and sizes. Some ethical dilemmas are issues of conscience, while others come from outside your sphere of influence. Whatever kind of ethical dilemma is, each one has its own twist and strategy for getting through it. First, there are issues of conscience, such as, should I call in sick or go to the beach? Should I use the photocopy machine or my personal project? Should I use my computer laptop or my second job? Can I pocket a little extra cash by fudging a travel expense report that no one seems to notice? Of course, some of these issues have few stakeholders, and others that many stakeholders, such as, should I keep quiet about an unnoticeable but costly manufacturing mistake? When everyone else seems to ignore inflated sales and financial numbers, do you report it or just go with the flow? Do I report harassing or intimidating behavior of supervisors or others that could make trouble for me? For all these ethical dilemmas, there is usually a right and wrong answer, an ethical option and an unethical option. It may not be so easy because we have strong needs and feelings as well as the ability to rationalize and make excuses to get what we want. But you do have freedom of choice to make the wrong or right decision, and you are obligated as a functioning member of society to make the honest choice or suffer the consequences. This is why we have laws, police, and jails. We choose to obey and play by the rules or face punishment. It's our conscience and our choice. The other kind of ethical dilemma comes from outside your sphere of influence. You didn't ask for them, and you've done little, if anything, to encourage them. Examples might be, my boss is making lewd sexual remarks and advances. I work with someone who can't tell the truth. Our top management is corrupt and arrogant. A customer is always asking for special favors. I am pressured to cover up for the mismanagement of my supervisor. I am being isolated and discriminated against for my views. For these kinds of ethical dilemmas, you need strategy and a system to help. Your ingenuity, experience, and character may get you so far, but what you need are strategies that you can pull from your arsenal. Regardless of whether you're dealing with issues of conscience or with issues outside your sphere of influence, you need to consider the stakeholders. Stakeholders are all the people and parties who have some connections to your problem or situation. You may not think about the stakeholders who are connected to your ethical decisions, because it's so easy to think only about your self-interest and survival in an ethical crisis. But you are not alone. Your decisions oftentimes have consequences and stakeholders far beyond what you initially considered. So who are the stakeholders? Well, there are the receivers. These are the people who are on the receiving end of your ethical decisions. Third parties. These are individuals, groups, departments, and even communities that are affected by our decisions. The workplace environment and culture, because ethical decisions don't happen in a vacuum and can have a profound impact on everyone. And of course, you. Physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Remember, your career, reputation, family, safety, and security are at stake. It is sobering to think about all the stakeholders who are affected by your ethical decisions. You may not have intentionally intended to hurt anyone else or drag them into a crisis, but you did. Don't just assume that your decisions will have no consequences beyond your tiny world. Think about all the stakeholders before you act, not just how the consequences affect you.
Ethical principles are generally categorized based on the field it is deemed to be necessarily carried out. The three categories of ethical principles are personal, professional, and business ethics. The categories of ethical principles can be defined as: the personal ethics is the ethics concerned with the actions that an individual does in his or her everyday life. Example, basic justice, fairness, respect for the right of others, compliance with the law, honesty, and trustworthiness. Now, let's move on to the professional ethics. So, professional ethics is the ethics concerned with the activities that an individual must conform to as a part of his or her duties in his or her professional life. As for example, objectivity, integrity, confidentiality, avoidance of potential or apparent conflict of interest, and professional competence. Now, for the last, but not the least, the business ethics. Business ethics is the ethics concerned with the actions of an organization or firm in conducting business that rules out what is deemed to be right or wrong. It focuses on outlining what is acceptable as right or wrong when the practice is not illegal but is not necessarily morally acceptable. So, for example, fair competition, concern for environment, social responsibility, and as well as global and domestic justice. To understand the importance of a code of ethics to professionals, one must understand the nature of a profession as opposed to other vocation. There is no universally accepted definition of what constitutes a profession, yet, for generations, certain types of activities have been recognized as professions while others have not. Medicine, law, engineering, architecture, and theology are examples of disciplines long accorded professional status. Public accounting is relatively new as far as the ranking of the professions is concerned, but it has achieved widespread recognition in recent decades. All the recognized professions have several common characteristics, and the most important of these characters are a responsibility to serve the public, a complex body of knowledge, standards of admission to the profession, and a need for public confidence. Careless work or lack of integrity of a professional may lead the public to a negative view toward the profession. All professionals must have public confidence of the public to be successful, and consequently, the members of the different professions act in unison by deriving their respective code of conduct.
Attempting to get a group of people in the same room to come up with a definition of character can be challenging. Opposing views over such issues as nature versus nurture or private versus public, character can get in the way. Whichever view you take, the goal of this lesson is to simplify the definition of character so that everyone can come to a common understanding of what it is and why it is important. Although there are an infinite number of situations and gray areas in life, this simple premise is generally true. Your character is the core of who you really are, especially when nobody is looking. Character is not something that you're stuck with, but it is a dynamic, growing part of your personality that is worth nurturing and guarding.
You might know someone who always kept a positive, upbeat attitude no matter what the situation. He or she had something special and seemed to be rich in spirit and character. The benefits of having a positive, rich character are invaluable. Life has more depth and meaning. Knowing that your character stays with you despite your situation helps you to realize that happiness can be attained regardless of hardships. How much would we give for peace of mind? How much would you pay for true, honest respect from those around you or a good reputation lost? Your own contentment and happiness depends on your attitude, character, and outlook on life. These qualities are acquired through years of constant effort and consistent positive choices. By taking the time to think about your character often, by setting goals for becoming the kind of person you want to be, and by valuing the important things in life, you will have something special that money can't buy. What is integrity? It is the adherence to a moral code, the state of being unimpaired, and condition of being undivided or complete. It seems that the literal definition of integrity has more to do with a solid chair than a person. Even though only 1 out of 3 definitions of integrity given in this lesson relates to honesty, Our true, complete integrity includes all of them. Although you can't become a person of integrity without telling the truth, mere truth-telling is only one piece of the picture. There are two aspects of the definition of integrity that you need. First, you need to have the state of being unimpaired, soundness. This means that the chair is not made of weak wood, but solid hardwood. For you, being unimpaired means that the confusion of distractions of life don't throw you off course. You see things clearly for what they are. You are sound and solid in your character. Second, you need the quality or condition of being undivided, completeness. You have control of your life. Your character and personality are united and growing in the same direction. Becoming a person of integrity means that you are moving forward in all three areas: honesty, soundness, and completeness.
Let's proceed to the Code of Good Governance for the Profession in the Philippines, or Executive Number 220, dated June 23, 2003. The Professional Regulation Commission, or PRC, and the 42 Professional Regulatory Boards is ina-adapt or ina-apply nila itong code over sa iba't ibang field of works para yung work environment is magkaroon ng good governance and pati na rin yung maayos na pamamalakad ng management kanon. And pati na rin yung mga workers oriented kung paano pa dapat sila mag-work or yung level ng quality ng work nila, if nasa tama pa ba yung mga actions nila or hindi na. So, itong Code of Good Governance nito is applicable talaga siya in all professions. Itong code na rin ang kumaga parang magiging basis kung paano dapat mag-act nga sa work. Yun nga, halimbawa, may ethical scenarios na kinahaharap yung isang tao sa workplace niya. So, pwedeng ma-apply itong Code of Good Governance para ma-discern kung ano ba dapat talaga yung gawin or kung ano yung ethical na gawin, kung ano yung mas mabuting gawin para sa nakararami. Mayroon ding dalawang general principles of professional conduct. Ito ay ang ethical awareness and ethical competence. So, ang first one is ethical awareness. Ito yung ability to discern between the right or wrong and wrong, rather. Meaning, ito yung kakayahan ng isang tao para mag-identify kung ano ba yung tama at mali or mag-distinguish kung ano yung tamang gawin or hindi. Pati yung mga decisions or mga maaring maging decisions is yung parang mga win-way out ba? Alin ba yung mas the better choice that will produce more goodness? So yung pangalawa naman is ethical competence. This is the ability to engage in sound moral reasoning and carefully consider the implications of alternative actions. So kung yung nauna, ethical awareness, ito yung ability to identify which is right or wrong. Ito namang pangalawa is the ability to commit to the right action or to the right decision. Ito na mismo yung pag-act ng better decision or yung action which is the better alternative. Next ay ang specific principles of professional conduct. This consists of 7 principles. First is service to others. This include protecting life, property, and public welfare. Meaning, dapat iniisip natin yung kapakanan ng ibang tao, even up to the extent of heroic sacrifices, and dapat mayroon tayong genuine selflessness in carrying out our duties, even at the expense of our personal gains. So, next is integrity and objectivity. Integrity meaning maintaining and broadening public confidence, and dapat meron tayong nationalism and spiritual values. And in simple words na lang is honesty, uprightness, and honor. Yun dapat mayroon tayo sa ating work, and yun din dapat yung pinapractice natin over our acts or activities sa work. Objectivity naman meaning unbiased, free from conflicts of interest, refraining from engaging in any activity that would prejudice to carry out our duties ethically, and avoiding misrepresentation. Truthfulness, consistent and uncompromising adherence to strong moral and ethical principles, pati na rin ang values, is dapat pinapractice natin sa work. Third is professional competence, meaning professionally competent ka na or meron tayong proper and up-to-date knowledge, technical skills, attitudes, pati na rin yung experiences natin. We only undertake those professional services or pinaperform lang natin yung mga professional services na authorized or we can really deliver with the proper quality. Included na rin dito yung keeping up with the new knowledge and techniques sa ating field. So, meaning research, pati na rin yung mga pag-attend sa mga seminars. So, di ba sa mga seminars is nag-orient or nagtiteach kung ano yung mga bagong techniques or kung ano yung mga bagong knowledge na nga dapat nating i-practice as workers or dapat ma-implement din and ma-integrate sa ating practices. Fourth is solidarity and teamwork. So, each profession shall nurture and support one organization for all its members. Meaning, hindi lang dapat tayo makasarili as an employee or an employee of an establishment. So, dapat sinusuportahan din natin yung mga co-workers natin and pati yung mga management is nakikiisa tayo sa kanila para magkaroon ng healthier environment. Pinuput up din dapat yung broader interest ng ating profession above our own personal ambition and preference. So, marirelate na din ito sa pagiging objective natin. Sineset aside natin yung selfishness natin para sa ikabubuti ng lahat. Fifth ay ang social and civic responsibility. This includes a broader interest in the public, serving clients or employers and the public with professional concern and in a manner consistent with their responsibilities to society, and actively contributing to the attainment of the country's national objectives. So next ay ang global competitiveness, meaning dapat open tayo to challenges of a more dynamic, interconnected world and kaya nating mag-rise up to the global standards and maintaining levels of professional practices fully aligned with global best practices. So meaning, kaya nating makipagsabayan globally, pati yung sa mga trends, yung mga nadidiscover na better practice na pwedeng mas ma-apply sa ating work. So last is equality of all professions. Dito, dapat tinitreat natin yung mga colleagues natin, mga co-workers, with respect and strive to be fair in their dealings with one another. Walang nakalamang, no one is superior, and dapat yung performance natin is tinitreat as equally important, distinct service sa ating society. Maaari na din ditong pumasok yung not tolerating discrimination kasi nga equal tayong lahat dito. Pati yung golden rule na wag mong gawin sa ibang ayaw mong gawin nila sa'yo is applicable dito. So, kung gusto mong i-treat ka with respect, dapat yung iba is i-treat mo din with respect. And that's all for this chapter. Thank you for listening. For our references, please refer to the following.